20 seconds from now, I'll start recording. They lost actually. And welcome to St Helens, the home of good rugby in South Wales, Swansea. The Welsh team today in this very important World Championship match is David Watkins, fullback, captain Matthias, Francis, Wilson and Bevan, the three-quarters. A lot of good, great names there. Turner and Banner, the half-backs, and in the forwards, the front three, Mills, Fisher, Mantle. Second row, Cunningham and Dixon, and loose forward, Kersley. And the favourites today, I'm afraid, are not Wales, but you never know. Playing in the red jerseys, anything can happen. But there are the Australians, full of ambition to take this World Championship. And they've got a quite strong side out, a good fullback in Edie. Three-quarters, McMahon, Cronin, Rogers, Schubert, all very good young players. Peard and Mays, the half-backs. And the forwards, Artie Beetson, the captain, a man of many, many torrid tests. Piggins, the hooker, Beavers, the blindside prop. Second row, Randall and Higgs, and loose forward, John Quayle. So that's the Australian team against Wales in this almost deciding match for this World Championship. That for the circuit is the opening spiel and caption. If you want it done again, call us. If not, we'll assume it is all right and not being required to be done again. All channels, please start recording now from St Helens, Swansea, of the Australian versus Wales Rugby League match. And there are the three officials in charge of today's important match. In the middle, John Percival, the referee from New Zealand, and the captain, the two captains, Arthur Peterson on the left, David Watkins for Wales on the right. And Australia win the toss and they decide to kick towards the cricket patch end with the square of this famous St Helens ground. It'll be David Watkins to kick off in this very, very important match. Remember that Australia at the moment lead by 9 points from 5 games. England is second with 8 points from 6 games. And there's a little bit of wind around, but not a lot to cause a lot of trouble. And the great singing we've heard in Swansea. The Welsh crowd, I hope they've put a little bit of fear into the Australians. We shall see what's going to happen. 40 minutes to go in this World Championship match. Graham Eady, a strong running fullback. Australia on the right in their famous green and gold jersey. And there'll be a lot of hard work up front at the moment. And in fact, the referee has already penalised Australia, and Mr. John Percival of New Zealand penalised Greg Beavers, who actually had trials. Well, he didn't have trials, he actually played with Huddersfield for a spell. So David Watkins, 44 goals so far this season, 3 tries, and this is what he's got to do. He's got to go over that 25-yard line and to the end where the spectators are waiting to receive, but we've got an injured player at the moment. Carl Coslett it is, but all right, just the Welsh team with Watkins playing full back and strength in the forwards, particularly Colin Dixon, number 12, who you can see, Jim Mills, a strong number 8, and it's rather interesting, the average weight for the players, the Australians 14.9 and Welsh 14.10. Well, this is a great crowd here today, a remarkable attendance, a tremendous lot of atmosphere in this St Helens Swansea ground. I remember seeing a similar crowd by 1945 when they played the first ever rugby league match at Swansea. And this is the cricket pavilion as Watkins takes his run, no score. And the crowd say yes, the flag say yes, and so Wales going to the lead in the first minute with a good goal by David Watkins. Wales 2, Australia 0. So that's the sort of start that gives the heart of all Welshmen something to go at. Mick Cronin to restart. 3 young, well 4 possibly, but 3 that we know of. Cronin, Rogers and Schubert, and a lot of players playing in their first test today. "25 yards line," and Fisher the dummy half. The man taking the ball, Jim Mills. He's the one that no doubt the Aussies will watch with great care. Coslett, Mantle. Jim Mills stands out in the deep, which is unusual for number 8. Takes the ball back. Well, you can see the main stand at Swansea here. Quite a lot of Australian fans have come over, talking to them before the match. They realise what an important game this was going to be. There's the hookers, the strong men up front. Big crowd on the main stand in this famous St Helens ground, Swansea. Peter Banner to Turner. Turner beaten 1 player, but went down to the second one. Special welcome to Australian and New Zealand viewers, who of course know the importance of a match like this. Scuffles, halfway line. The 5th tackle coming up in club rugby, of course, is 6th tackle, but in this sort of international football, it is 5 tackle. The drop goal, by the way, just 1 point. Edie, 7 tries so far in this country. 25 yards line. And number 2, Roy Mathias from Llanelli in at that, with Bill Francis. Greg Beavers. This is a toughening up process to begin with, of course, trying to test each other for strength and stamina and persistence. Terry Randall and Peter Barron in at it, scrum down. So Australia with a 2 points lead against them by Wales. They, of course, lead in the table. 9 points of this championship, played 5, England played 6, and 8 points, no doubt. This is another goal that David Watkins was late, because they keep adding up, you know, they keep adding up. Against Johnny Mays, and they're not a long distance. Well, plenty of people there to let us know if he's kicked in. Of course, Watkins has his own peculiar style, like all goal kickers. The great Jim Sullivan would put the ball straight up, or just play it long ways to bolt it straight, but you'll see that David Watkins will take great care and then do 2 steps to his left after he's put the ball straight. It's his 2nd attempt, 1 success so far, 2 points to 0 against Australia. These red jerseys give a tremendous lot of strength to the Welshman. Now here he goes 1 to his left, 2 to his left, hitches his trousers, touches his little moustache and gets his hands on his hips, takes them off, about 5 steps forward, screws it in, but it is no goal. It is a goal. It is a goal. There was an awful long time with the touch judges in putting their flags up, so 4 points to 0, Wales 4, Australia 0. And so far, Australia haven't really been in the Welsh 25-yard area. 6 minutes gone, first half, 4 points to 0. Mick Cronin. Well taken by Scuffles. There'll be a lot of hardness going on. Terry Randall being brought out for unsatisfactory tackle. Watkins to kick. Australia had to make a late change this morning. They tried John Rhodes from Queensland on the right wing. They gave him a couple of runs here on this part, but they didn't find him right, so they brought in Alan McMahon. And there are 10 new caps in Australia's side against Great Britain today. So quite an occasion for Australia. But so far Wales have been looking the most progressive. And they would do England a great job if they could win this match. But a long way to go yet. Big Jim Mills. Ball lost. And the referee, I think, probably going to a penalty offside. Peter Barron offside. First penalty to Australia. Good kick. Well, with the sunshine and a big crowd and a lot of football ability to be unfolded, Mick Cronin runs in for Australia, who are down 4 points to 0. Stand-up half John Peard with Arthur Beats, and he's the man who runs off. Ray Higgs. good pass to Johnny. This boy Mays runs a lot of Beaton's burliness. This short slip pass, turning back inside, Beaton again. The captain is getting the welcome committee from 3 Reds. Terry Randall, 25-yard line and a penalty for offside. And what? Glyn Turner was yards offside. So I imagine that this will be a 2-pointer. And I imagine it will be Mick Cronin to kick. It is Mick Cronin, in fact. He's from, and I'm sure all Australian viewers watching this match will know that he comes from Garrigong in New South Wales. He toured in 1973. And there's his target towards the cricket end, where the great Gary Sobers did a great massacre job here. Well, there is Swansea Bay, this lovely part of the coast, and there's the goalpost. I don't think he'll get it on the ship, but all he wants to do is get into those posts. 20 yards out. Australia have got the wind. It's well over the top. The Wales 4, Australia 2. "11 minutes gone in the first half here at St Helens, where a ground where rugby league is being played, rugby union will be played this season, and cricket has been played this year. So a ground, a town, a city of many parts. Watkins to restart. The backability of both teams still to be unfolded. Alan McMahon came in this morning after John Rhodes was declared unfit. John Mantle and Coslet and Tony Fisher. Tony Fisher, of course, comes from Swansea, so he's virtually playing at home. Recently been transferred to Castleford. McMahon, knock on. So this is the moment now, this part of the game, where I would think that both teams have had long enough now to settle and will now start to show their natural, normal back ability. Roy Mathias, I don't think has touched the ball, and John Bedden's not had a run, but Peter Banner's got the ball, trying to go from the scrum. Did a big on the other side. On the other side, a bit of trouble. Beaver and Mills, bit of trouble on the other side. And there's two Rodgers seem to come in very quickly, following the play, and off it went. And everybody seems to be now joining in. Well, it suddenly sparked off. We were watching Banner come away, and then obviously something happened within the scrum, and the touch judge, Mr. Harry Fitton of Oldham, giving his version to Mr. Percival. We'll see who he calls up. He's calling David Watkins, the two captains. They're not defending players, I wouldn't think, but he's explaining to the captain, he's getting the message, and if they don't settle down, they'll be having an early bath, and they're not very big baths in Swansea. I think somebody turned the tap off anyway before they came. So Artie Beaton, number 8. I like the idea of the numbers on the jersey there. That's very good. And Tony Fisher coming up, so I would imagine it will be a scrum down, I would think. Got to be a penalty, I don't know. What's he going to do? He's going to... are you going to play the ball where he was before the play stopped? Right, well, after all that, it's still 4 points to 2 for Wales. And more to come. I don't know if there's more points to come, but obviously more incident to come on penalties. And Terry Randall has been penalised for not allowing the ball to be played. Another kick chance for David Watt. Well, this is the distance. There's the target. There's this good crowd here today. All sides, apart from, of course, the other end, which is the cricket end. And there's that lovely scoreboard, specially prepared. Australia 2, and if we go to the right, it's Wales 2. David Watkins, the kick. Had a great career in rugby league football, starting years ago in Blaenau, Newport, Wales. His third attempt, 2 successes, and he's kicked from both sides now. Or will be. He's got to hook it in, so it is sort of correct angle to hook it in, which it is supposed. It comes out, I think. In Schubert. That was a good tackle by Tony Fisher, the lad from Swansea, who'll be in at everything and anything when he gets a red jersey on. Big Jim Mills. There's some fair big lads around there. Mills, Fisher, Mantle in the front three, and Graham Eadie rightly kicking to get pressure off his own defence. Well, great forwards in Australia in the past, like Ray Steer and Jack Rayner and Chick Cowie, will no doubt have their memories of playing against teams from England and Wales and Great Britain. Banner. And up and under. It's not a bad one. Somebody's got to pedal a little bit, and taken well by Schubert. One of the promising youngsters in Australian football. New boy, but great player to be is Schubert. We're going to hear a lot of this boy. Comes from Eastern Suburbs. We've got quite a few players in this team. Toured with their schoolboy team in England recently. First cap. John Mays. Also Eastern Suburbs. Artie Beeson, that's the short one. Could have possibly got interception. There's an overlap. Ray Higgins has turned inside. Trouble for Wales at this moment. John Peard is supporting all the way. John Quayle, this looks very dangerous. It's the 5th tackle as Johnny Mays followed out. So Alf Richards been brought on. He's the Australian physio. He'd been on 7 tours. Quite an experienced physio. Number 13, John Quayle, is the man injured. And there is Alf Richards. And Eddie Cunningham on the Welsh side is getting some attention on the right from Johnny Malpas. Johnny Malpas on the right there with Eddie Cunningham getting his arm rubbed. Well, this crowd are really enjoying this feast of rugby. Who of course don't see, except possibly on television, a lot of rugby league matches live, except on big occasions. Of course, go down to Wembley a lot, but here at Swansea, one of the rare occasions, which will be here again, of course, in a fortnight's time, when New Zealand will be playing Wales. And John Quayle looks a little bit troublesome. Seems to be in pain. The 2 subs, by the way, we gave you the team at the beginning. The 2 subs, Jim Porter, he was brought in after McMahon had to go onto the wing, and Ian McKay. And there's big Artie Beeson. He played for Hull Kingston Rovers, did Beeson for a spell, so he knows English football. And it looks as if his shoulder has been lifted and has gone. But of course, you can never quite tell with the Australians, in as much they've all got big, heavy shoulder pads on. And sometimes you can never tell quite which it is. So there, number 13, John Quayle goes up, and Ian Mackay, or Mackay, will come on. It's a scrum down. 4 points to 2 for Wales. In red on the left. Just goals so far. Well, the doctor has been called for Quayle, and it's noticeable they haven't brought on the sub yet. I think they're going to get a doctor's report before they decide to send on the sub. But I feel the way he was holding it, it could be a dislocated shoulder. 5th tackle coming up, which means a scrum after the 5th tackle, and Watkins will kick. Kick for touch, it may run out, bouncer, a beautiful kick. Put a lot of side onto it, and off it went. Quayle, who comes from Parramatta and gone off, it was his first international, and on comes Mackay now to complete the 6-man pack. Mays unappeared. Just a little bit of argument going on, but it'll soon break up on our side. They're broken up very quickly. Obviously, little things are going on in the pack after the ball's gone away. Roy Mathias from Llanelli. McCabe quickly getting into the picture. McKay also Eastern Suburbs, first cap up through junior teams. There's an overlap. Beatson has got this boy Schubert. Taking on Watkins and beating Watkins. What a beautiful try by Schubert, this boy who came recently to England to play with the schoolboy team. Beautiful try by Schubert. Johnny Peard got it away, there was the overlap, then he got it to Arthur Beatson. Then Arthur Beatson to Schubert, and Schubert was then taken on by Watkins, but Watkins couldn't push him off, and away went Schubert to put Australia in the lead. Australia 5, Wales 4. So Mick Cronin taking his second attempt. The score 4 points to 5, giving Wales as the home team. And so far, that Schubert try was really the first time a winger had a chance to pedal away and use the touchline. Cronin not taking a long run. And Australia hadn't been doing much in the scrum, but they won that scrum. First scrum actually, they won. And it looks as if it's going to carry straight on into Swansea Bay, but it doesn't. It stays put. So 1 point the margin. Australia 5, Wales 4, and I'm sure that will give some heart to Australia and more heart to Wales to now get their first try. So, no goal, unconverted try, Wales 4, Australia 5, restart, Watkins. Kerry Randall. The Australians now standing very deep, realising they're going to use what they can. And so when Beatson goes, he usually keeps the chance of moving, but it's Bill Francis. But the whistle's gone. John Bevan, Bill Francis, John Bevan, but the whistle's gone. John Bevan there went over and looked at the anguish and agony in his face as he goes back, and the crowd boo with the referee having given Australia a penalty. I think what happened, of course, that Francis took the ball from Beatson, and if the referee had called hold, as he may have done, then that was an offence. If he hadn't called hell, then it was all right, and that big crowd there would no doubt have a pretty good idea. "15 minutes to half-time, halfway line. Wales on the left. Australia on the right, and obviously missing the winger from McKay and McMahon, the two original subs in this match. The sun's still shining here at Swansea, but Australia just beginning to show their ability amongst their young backs. And the forwards still locking each other in the scrums. Bill Francis. Colin Dixon. Roy Mathias. Demi half. So 15 minutes to half-time. What a try to Wales. Would give a lot of impetus. With the Australians settling, particularly a lot of these new caps. Oh, well taken by Jim Mills, hanging wide. He can't go half the length of the field on the fifth tackle. Interesting to see how big Jim Mills, of course, who's had a lot of experience of Australian rugby, stands deep. John Mantle, number 10, number 8 Beatson, and their forwards are going down with a crack. So Beatson in the second row, and Mackay in the front row. Johnny Mays getting the ball. Well, he went under, a big tall fella, and he went under all these hanging arms. Johnny Mays, ground in good condition. Just right for open football, but it is, of course, Test football, World Championship football. So neither side are going to give much away. Going to be the referees giving a penalty with Coslet catching Johnny Peart after he kicked through. The 4 penalties to each side. Will he take a long shot at goal? This boy from country football in New South Wales, who has a lot of offers to go to join one of the fashionable Sydney clubs where they can earn a lot of money this time, but nobody's going to kick at goal because McMahon's going to kick into touch. Beatson working the move. Johnny Mays coming off Beatson quite a lot. Comes off him, runs, follows him like a long lost brother. There's Beatson. Enjoying his position as captain. Talking to him the other day, he was really proud of the fact that he was captain of the Kangaroos. And Fisher dives for the ball. Tony Fisher, one of the veterans of the team. John Mantle. Coslet to Nestle. Bill Francis, dummy half. Watkins up. That's one thing David Watkins is now realising, he'll have to come up as often as he can to break down this very solid wall of Australian defenders. The fifth, one scrum, but the referee has given a penalty, so it's rather not a lot of use when Australia were in the pack and now they've been able to spread out and take a defensive formation. David Watkins. The scrums haven't been as unruly, as one could imagine. Not a good kick. It doesn't go into touch. It goes to Graham Eady, so the kick was of no value. The local Swansea boys giving, and a lot of people who travel down from the Yorkshire and Lancashire Rugby League centres, well picked up. John Peard giving vent to their feelings, and it's Australia possession. Fish of the great one for diving in, and he gets a penalty too. So it's against Johnny Mays, and Johnny Mays didn't want to give the ball to Coslet. So it's a chance for David Watkins to put Wales back in the lead. They're down 4 points to 5 at the moment. Just one try of the match to Schubert. The goal by Cronin. The 2 goals by Watkins. Well, there it is, past this double-decker stand almost, to the waiting throng. And there's David Watkins with his moustache and beard. And, of course, his Prince of Wales feathers. And in his red jersey. Retiring from rugby league football, he said, but he said that last year, and we're glad to see that he stayed on. Referee Percival from New Zealand behind him. 4th attempt, kick 2, watches 2 to the left, doing like the little Velita steps. Pulls his face, and off he goes. Mantle watching carefully, and no doubt the test judges are, and the crowd, and it's a goal. It puts Wales back into the lead. With 10 minutes to half-time, Wales 6, Australia 5. So all points count, whether they're goals or tries. Chan Langland, the Australian coach, when I was talking to him just before the match, he felt it was a question of whether these youngsters that got into the team with the experience of playing here, and David Watkins is doing a quick strip act, getting his trousers off and a new pair on. That was because the wind rather blew it back, and then it bounced back. It was a good kick, was that? Oh, good pass indeed to Steve Rogers. This is the danger flank. Rogers and Schubert. 12 Ray Higgs. Greg Beavers from Queensland. Ball loose. We're going to get it. Coslet. Late for Aberavan, just down the road from here. And of course, have been in the scoring role against England. Banner, the scrum half. He got past 2, but the 3rd member of the reception committee was waiting. Francis. Matthias not had a chance to have it around. He's not going to get very far, but he gets his pass in. Francis again. A long one out. Gives David Watkins a chance to have a run. Frank Wilson not had a run. Running well, Frank Wilson. Is that first time he's touched the ball and he's taking the pull back on. Good run by Frank Wilson, probably the best individual run of the match. 8 minutes to half-time, and Wales for the really first time showing individual brilliance, in this case from Frank Wilson, and getting possession. So this knowledgeable Welsh crowd, of course, realises this is the moment to do something, putting the short one to Colin Dixon. Using the big John Mills, could be lost, but it hasn't. John Mantle's overhead pass came from under 2 nowhere. John Mantle got 3 rugby union caps, and he got 25 rugby league caps, for those of you who are interested in statistics, and that's Australia possession, and they've got an overlap. We've got to get across to that wing, because McMahon has got it nicely inside, and Australia's still moving it about most effectively and well. They've moved from the shadow of their own posts to the halfway line and still got the ball. Tony Fisher on the ground, getting attention now in English football. They can be attended to while plays in progress. Greg Beavers from Queensland. formerly with Huddersfield in the knockout. Tony Fisher, waiting for Tony Fisher to come back now, and he comes in from the right after having had the magic sponge put on his knee. Getting to the veteran stage. There's John Manville, the man with many caps from both codes of rugby. Kel Cosleter's 3 from Rugby Union and 13 from Rugby League. Debbie Watkins' 21 from Rugby Union and 15 Rugby League. Graham Edith. Schubert. Boy, there's going to be a name in rugby league football in Australia for many years to come, in my view, on this first showing. Turning inside, using the Sam McKay from Beatson. Beatson turned them all into him. Beatson again. Oh, it went high. Far too high to either be effective or anything. And 5 minutes to half time. Scrum down, the referee having a word with him. So there from the bay, and comes the fans from many parts of South Wales. Look to be enjoying this, and certainly with 6 points to 5, Peter Banner getting attention. Quite a lot of Australian fans, who are people who have come in trips going around the world and spending quite a bit of time in South Wales and quite enjoying this, will be wondering just what the situation will be in 45 minutes, because that's the time before the match will end. 7 Banner. And if you wonder in Australia why there's no people at the end at that side, that's because it is also an international cricket field as well, an international rugby field. Fisher can't get in. 4 minutes in fact, and a penalty to Wales. There will be a little bit of injury time, I should imagine, but of course in Australia, and they know this rule about international and independent timekeepers. We did pinch this rule from them. I'm not too sure that it always works as it might, but I remember seeing it in Wollongong on my very first tour to 1946, and it didn't work then, but that's by the by. Ian McKay. Terry Randall. The Australians doing almost a U formation. 3 minutes plus injury time. To a half time, of course. We're in the first half, and the score 6 points to Wales, 5 to Australia. And Australia throwing the ball about, using fullback Edie, who's a good strong player, only 21, comes from Manu Warringah. Also from Woi, a place I remember well in Australia. This is a moment where Australia would like, no doubt, to get in front, but ball possession is going to be important in these last 2 scrums. Peter Banner, good run. A bit of a, 2 of them are just finding it out between them, and neither of them, the play's going on. And the test judges in, Pickens and Cunningham, and usually what happens, 1 or 2 more comes in, and now they all come in. So here they go, and this started from just 2 fellows who wouldn't let go of each other to let play proceed. Beatson on the left, pushing people off, as the true captain should, and the test judges in again, the same test judge before, Mr. Harry Fitton of Oldham. And it started with just 2 of them, and possibly Pickens and Cunningham just together, and then off they go. And Mr. Percival gets his report from Mr. Fitton. And who's he going to be talking to? He's talking to Arthur Peteson, which would suggest that it was one of his team members who offended. Well, less than a minute to half-time. That's the second incident that has happened and broken up with a little disorder. And it probably shouldn't have done, because the two were on their own, and then instead of letting go, someone else joined in. Watkins to kick. Injury time, of course, and he's nearly beaten the stand, but not quite. Well, of course, there's always been little stormy battles between Australia and Great Britain and England, whether it be on Sydney Cricket Ground or up at Newcastle, New South Wales, or even Wollongong. I've seen it happen. Oh, good break, looking for support. And Jim Mills taking it well, can't get his pass in. Going back to Cosworth. Try before half-time would be appreciated by the Welsh fans and the Welsh team, but Australia's tackling well and effectively in injury time. Jim Mills, you see how big Jim Mills runs and puts the ball up, wanting support somewhere. Fifth tackle coming up. Francis, a little awkward one, he could bounce awkwardly, well taken by Matthias, but also well taken by Schubert. Schubert did well under pressure there to hold on. What a promising boy this is. Edie. The chance just running out now for Wales to go further in the lead, a 1-point lead at what is sufficient or not. Time alone will tell. Almost a break by Vivas. Going up to 2 minutes of injury time with the referee signalling the fifth tackle coming up. And Cronin going to run. Oh, this is a chance for Dixon. Colin Dixon. A long one. There's not a lot of people out here. You've got to go back in, a little bunching now by the Reds. Goslet. Well, that wasn't a bad idea, but nobody could get there quickly enough to make it pay. Watkins was going to a nice run. Fifth tackle coming up. Pickens went a bit high. Watkins still going. Can Matthias go around Schubert? Can he get inside? There's somebody inside. Should have let it go. He had a man unmarked. This was a chance lost. Glyn Turner was up in support, and it was a sitter was that, and Banner went on his own, and Glyn Turner, no wonder Francis is throwing the ball down. Glyn Turner was right up, and that would have been a try behind the post, but however it isn't, and the score remains 6 points to 5 for Wales. That's the incident people will talk about, if only. Compared. Australian look as if they're going to weather this storm. Ball loose. Beatson, what a good forward Beatson is. Being followed by Peard and Mays. Following a rich ankle all the time with these two half backs, with Beatson putting them away. Vivas. Now inside from Edie, and Edie can run. There's a chance. Schubert gets this, he'll be in. He'll be in with Schubert unless he can come across and take him. But Peard is in, and Peard gets the try. A brilliant try. Brilliant try. So that try came right from the moment after Wales looked as if they were going to score. Then the starter beats and started moving the passage down. Peard in it, and then he went out to Schubert. Schubert turned inside, and then the support, Peard came in with it. Wales 6, Australia 8, and it shows the strength and ability of these young Australians when the field is open. a jump here. This boy playing in his first international, no doubt. Very happy about that. Eastern Suburbs, 8 seasons with East, 29-2 with St. George. Gets his first cap today and Cronin to kick. And he does. So we've had 4 minutes of injury time with Wales going into the lead, with Australia going into the lead in injury time. Wales 6, Australia 10. Well, I no doubt will have knocked a little bit of heart out of the Welsh team, because not only were they in the lead, but they were also in a position to score. But the ball should have gone out, or in, whichever way you want to call it, to Turner. Watkins. Higgs. And there goes the hooter for half-time, with the score at half-time. Wales 6, Australia 10.
Remind you, ladies and gentlemen, before this restarts, another international year at Swansea. On 2nd November.
And the restart of this World Championship match, Australia, Mick Cronin to kick off with Australia 10, Wales 6. So Wales have got a lot to do. They've got the players who can do it, but rather slip up just before half-time, which cost them what would have been a try and an interval lead, was turned to advantage by the Australians, who no doubt have got a lot of heart in consequence. Tony Fisher. Banner. Both teams, with the exception of Quayle, of the Australians who've gone to hospital. They've got McKay in, of course, with McMahon on the wing, and his ball back. And the formation of the Welsh back remains the same, and the formation of the Australian